Because I had very bad health, I think my attitude sometimes was not as good as it should be. Like, I should be taking some things to learn, but maybe I was just too tired because I slept very late, stuff like that.
Hi guys, this is Pedro and I'm back with a brand new interview, this time covering week one of the LCS Spring Split. I'm here accompanied by Yeon, the ADC for Team Liquid, following their 1-1 week one performance in the aforementioned split. So Yeon, thank you so much for taking the time. I just want to start off this whole conversation just covering week one, losing in your first match against 100 Thieves, but then bouncing back in the second foray against Shopify. So how did you view the team's performance overall after week one?
I would say our first game was pretty poorly played performance-wise. I think we didn't play to our own standards, so that was like pretty bad. And we made like a lot of mistakes, not even like the big ones on stage. Like there was a lot of small ones that most people won't recognize. Besides that, I think we're still very confident going into it. Even after that game, we were like, it's okay, it's just one game out of like the season. And showing today, we also played well, so I'm glad we played well in our second game, but still not up to our like standards, I feel like. But I would say we're going in a very good direction for now.
Yeah, what do you feel was the sort of tiny mistakes that you mentioned earlier on in the first answer that it was then addressed for this second match against Shopify?
Small mistakes were like the early game where we were not able to hold like our own pressure. I haven't watched the game back again, but I don't think that's how we wanted the early game to go. So it was just like a mistake on our part, not the enemy team doing well, I think. So hopefully next time we start off strong and then end strong as well. Because I think we did neither yesterday. But
Mm.
today was we ended strong, I feel like, in my opinion.
What about taking on the perspective on to you yourself as an individual? What do you feel was like one of the biggest things that you feel you had to adjust in week one, in these first two games?
Um honestly, it's just trying to be less nervous. I wasn't really that nervous, but I feel like my vision was like not as good as it usually is. So on the second game, I just decided to look around the map the entire game without like even if I was confused, I was just like look at the map no matter what. It's always important to use your eyes instead of just listening only.
Yeah, of course, and you played Zeri for the second match against Shopify, and of course, people talk about Zeri and her places within the entire game. How did you view the champions in its makeup and how it has been fared from end of off season up until now? At this moment in time with the whole new patch and all of that jazz surrounding it.
I think she was very good in Summer Split for 2023, and then she was very good up leading to Worlds where they nerfed her and made other champions stronger. And then she was like kind of dead for like a while. Then she like came up again with the new season because the new season you can pretty much play most champions depending on like what situation, so you can be adaptable. So I think in certain situations it's very good, especially like Lucian Name is like decent game.
Yeah, and it like in addition to the adaptations that you had to make with the champion in particular, but I want to take that on a broader sense with the entire game. Of course, as I mentioned, with the whole changes to the map and the whole item lineup and champions, both good or bad. What do you feel was like the biggest difficulty that you feel you had to understand slash adapt slash adjust during the off season up until now?
During the off season, I just wanted to work on my weaknesses. For the most part, I think some physical health was a bit of my issue, so I was working on that. For like sleeping wise, I am not a very good sleeper, especially with the season starting at 10 a.m. or my wake up's starting at like 9 a.m. and like the LCS starting earlier, practice time starting earlier. So that was the main goal for me, and then just working on my shortcomings that I felt like were needed.
And going into that, and you mentioned a little bit about adjustments during this week, but what about during the off season? What do you feel were the things that you felt you had to tweak the most during that time frame?
Basically, I just worked on my mental fortitude and my like physical health. Like, I would make sure I go to sleep as early as I can if I could, instead of like ruining my schedule, sleeping very late. So it's basically just self control between my sleep.
How do you think that kind of past condition, health wise, mental wise, well being wise, how do you think that old state that you were in prior to making those changes affected you, as a player, both in and outside of the server, last season?
Because I had very bad health, I think my attitude sometimes was not as good as it should be. Like my I should be taking some things to learn, but maybe I was just too tired because I slept very late, stuff like that. It was just not like a learning environment for me because I was not very focused with bad physical health.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, and in going in line with that, I remember, we had a conversation during Worlds 2023, and you mentioned about, the things that went wrong for the team and also yourself, that led to the elimination in the Swiss stage. I'm kind of curious on how you look back on that experience and how it has, helped you develop as an individual, as a person, for you. So, with us being like roughly like a few months on since that experience over in Korea, what do you feel? How do you look back at that experience? Both good or bad?
I I think the part where I said mental fortitude and I want to make it so that I don't ever like break down or like any not even break down, just like have a strong mindset, like the unwavering mindset, just like at every point of my career and life.
Hmm. Was there something like, was there a focal point that you looked at, like i.e. a person, media material, book, anything like that that you looked at that then, helped prompt that change, or was it just like a gradual thing?
Just a gradual thing. I don't think I looked at like anyone for like a medium or anything.
Okay. Okay. And now taking the attention now from yourself and now to the team, of course, with the whole Team Liquid thing and having a new set of players into the lineup, compared to last season. This time you guys have UmTi and then, Impact as a new top laner and jungler. What's it like, just playing with veteran people such as, those two that are adding into the mix of what you guys already have, in terms of synergy within TL.
They both have very different personalities and they have very big voices, so it's very nice. Personally, I like UmTi's personality a lot. He's very outgoing and like very fun, very nice. Even when he's like mad, he's like very nice about it. So there's that. And Impact is like the maybe a little opposite, not that mean, but he's like very straightforward. This is what I want to do. He's like he just knows what he wants. He's a veteran.
Mhm.
And he's just
Yeah.
straightforward with his words and is it's very nice as well.
How do you think that has, played into the whole team comms and just the whole, strategization wise, for the team, during scrims, and then, translating that into, official matches, just like the what happened, this week.
I would say because we have like three veterans, they all have like their own way of wanting to play the game, so we just have to like align soon. I think we're aligning pretty well for the most part, but there's still like some things that some people have. They have so much experience. They have played a different way, so it's just aligning that one part.
Hmm. Hmm. And with that said, um, now we're gonna be looking over ahead to week two, and in that week you're gonna be taking on against FlyQuest and Immortals, another batch of very well-regarded teams in their own right. And what are your expectations? Well, what are your thoughts on your next set of opponents and your expectations, for week two, in addition to what has to be tweaked, from now up until then?
Personally, I think the opponents are pretty decent. I think everyone in the league is pretty similar, or not very similar, but I don't think there's like a completely terrible team. I think every team probably has a fighting chance, in my opinion. I'm pretty excited to play against them and see how they play on stage, because a lot of teams definitely play different from scrim to stage.
Yeah, and of course, and hopefully, Tio and yourself, Yeon, can do exactly that for week two. That about wraps up all of my questions. Thank you so much for taking the time and doing this interview with me. I really appreciate it, and best of luck
Thank you.
in week two in the future.
Thank you. Thank you.